Hot Chocolate Recipe for Dummies. Written by Ink in My Heart and on the Page. And read by Eleanor Elizabeth. Summary. When the god of thunder hands you a mug of hot chocolate, complete with whipped creams and peppermint shavings, you down it with no questions asked. Or mentioning the fact that you're allergic to peppermint, because there was no way that Peter was going to remind Tony Stark that he had forgotten that Peter was allergic. Not when he'd gone to so much trouble and hired a barista for the occasion. Got everything? May asked, a teasing smile on her lips. Peter grinned. Yep. Toothbrush? Yes. Clean clothes? Yes, Aunt May. Underwear? Peter felt his cheeks flush hot. Aunt May, I'm 15. I know how to pack a bag. Just checking, May laughed. Are you ready for Tony Stark's Christmas extravaganza? Peter grinned so brightly his cheeks twinged. He'd been looking forward to Tony's Christmas party ever since the man had given him an invitation. When Tony had invited Peter to his annual Christmas party, Peter had stared at the man with his jaw open for an awkward amount of time. You okay there, kid? Tony had asked, looking more amused than freaked out. Did I break you? You're inviting me to your Christmas party, Peter had squeaked out. Sure am, kiddo. You free? Peter had nodded so hard he'd given himself whiplash. Peter spent the next week counting down the hours until the party. May had kept giving him amused looks throughout the entire week, and had walked so exaggeratingly slow to the car that Peter was tempted to just swing to the tower. Are you sure you don't want to come? May smiled and reached out to brush a stray curl from Peter's cheek and tucked it back behind his ear. As much as I would love to, I've got work tonight. Right. Peter deflated a little. Did you want me to bring you dinner? Thank you for the offer, but I'll be okay. Enjoy yourself. Have fun, May said. Peter leaned across the console and pressed a kiss to May's cheek. Larb you. Larb you too, May smiled. Now, off you go. Peter chuckled and scrambled out of the car. He put his backpack on his shoulders and waved as May pulled into traffic. He didn't leave the sidewalk until May's car had disappeared into the steady stream of traffic. He turned to look up at the tower, and his heart thundered in his chest. A wave of nerves sparked through his body as he headed into the tower. Merry Christmas, Peter, Friday greeted him warmly when he stepped into the elevator. Merry Christmas, Friday! Peter beamed at the ceiling. He felt himself relaxing at the soothingly familiar Irish lilt. Boss is waiting for you upstairs, Friday said as the elevator started moving upwards. Is everyone there? Peter asked, hands twisting together. The festivities have started, Friday relayed. I believe there are still more people to arrive. Peter nodded and whimpered softly to himself as the nerves came back in full force. The elevator seemed to arrive faster than usual. The doors opened and Peter was hit by a wave of warmth and loud chatter and music. He briefly flinched as he adjusted to the sounds, and he stepped out hesitantly. He could already see a bunch of people he didn't know, and he resisted the urge to turn around and go back down to the lobby. Pete! Peter relaxed at the familiar voice and turned to see Tony striding towards him. As soon as he was close, he wrapped an arm around Peter and dragged him into his side. Hey, Mr. Stark! You get here okay, kid? Tony asked as he steered Peter further into the room. Yep, Aunt May dropped me off, Peter nodded. And I brought my stuff, like you told me to. Tony grinned, his eyes sparkling. Great, kiddo. Here, give that to me. Peter shrugged out of his backpack and handed it to Tony. Hey, sweetheart. Peter turned to find Pepper striding towards him, a big smile on her face. She looked beautiful in the dress she wore, her hair elaborately curled. When she reached them, she pressed a kiss to Peter's cheek, and then took the backpack from Tony's hand. Merry Christmas, Peter. Merry Christmas, Miss Potts. Ah, young Peter, you made it. Thor's booming voice broke over the music and a heavy hand landed on his shoulder. Had Peter not been an enhanced individual, the pressure would have sent his knees buckling and sent his ass to the floor. Merry Christmas, Thor. Ah, very Merry Christmas to you, Thor beamed. Come, Stark has procured a flavoured drink for you, as he has explained to me the Earth's customs regarding young ones and beer. Peter cocked his head to the side, his nose wrinkling with confusion. It may be Christmas, but you are not having beer, kiddo, Tony said, shooting Thor a glare. And I don't want anyone spiking his drinks. Something warm bloomed in Peter's chest, and he ducked his head as Thor began to lead him towards the bar that was set up near the kitchen. Waiters stood behind the bar, smiling brightly as they approached.
"Hello, we require the flavoured milk for the young Peter."
Chocolate, Underoos," Tony explained before Peter could ask.
"Made with real chocolate, none of that powder crap."
Peter perked up as the waiter with the Christmas tree earrings gave him a bright red lipstick smile and said, "One hot chocolate coming up." A few moments later, and Peter was handed a mug via Thor that was topped with whipped cream and shaved chocolate. Peter wrapped his hands around the mug. A warm tingle ran down his spine. Peter sniffed the drink and tried not to wince as he inhaled a putrid scent. He looked up to see Tony and Thor watching him, and Peter forced himself to smile. When the God of Thunder hands you a mug of hot chocolate, complete with whipped cream and peppermint shavings, you down it, no questions asked. Or mentioning the fact that you're allergic to peppermint, because there was no way that Peter was going to remind Tony Stark that he'd forgotten that Peter was allergic. Not when he'd gone to so much trouble and hired a barista for the occasion. "Thanks," Peter said, and he took a big gulp. He swallowed it down, forcing a grin. "Yum!" Tony chuckled and plucked a napkin off the bar. He reached out and wiped Peter's upper lip and cheeks.
"Come on, the others want to say Merry Christmas too."
Peter gritted his teeth against another stomach cramp. The party was in full swing, music playing and loud chatter filling the space. Peter hung close to the people he knew and tried to ignore the pain that was slowly spreading through his body. Peter had finished the hot chocolate and had, stupidly, had a second mug when Pepper had pressed it into his hands with a warm smile. The very little food he had managed to get down was churning uncomfortably in his stomach, and his skin felt cold and clammy. "How long do you plan on pretending to enjoy the festivities?" Peter whirled around at the silky voice and then winced as his stomach gave a stab of pain in protest. He had found himself a corner to press into, taking a moment to breathe through the pain. "Mr. Loki, God of Mischief, sir," Peter gasped. I didn't see you there." Loki's lips twitched with a small smile. "I've noticed you, and the fact that you do not wish for Stark to know that you are feeling unwell." "I'm fine," Peter lied automatically. Loki smirked. "Yes, you are the pinnacle of health. Perhaps you would like another hot chocolate?" Peter felt himself pale at the idea. "Please, no." "I thought as much." "Please don't tell Mr. Stark," Peter swallowed, wrapping an arm around his stomach. "I don't want to ruin his party." Loki rolled his eyes. "I am confident that Mr. Stark would want to know." Peter's eyes flicked across the room, where Tony was talking to Rhodey. He had a big smile on his face, and Peter knew that it wasn't often that Rhodey was able to spend Christmas with his best friend. Peter didn't want to interrupt that. Peter looked back to Loki. "Please don't bother him." Loki sighed. "Fine, but you are not spending the rest of the night in pain." Before Peter could lie and say he wasn't, Loki had a hand on his shoulder and was propelling him through the party and towards Bruce Banner. "Banner, I believe your services are in need," Loki drawled, interrupting his conversation with someone Peter didn't know. "Peter, everything okay?" Bruce asked, turning to give Peter his full attention. The man he had been speaking to had quickly fled. "I'm fine," Peter lied, not wanting to bother Bruce. "Peter has been in pain for a few hours now, and he is getting worse," Loki answered. Peter gaped at Loki, who looked impassively back. "Peter, is that true?" Bruce asked, frowning. "I believe it was the hot chocolate," Loki continued. "Peter?" Bruce prompted. Peter squirmed under the genius's gaze and felt his body flush hot. "The hot chocolate had peppermint in it." Bruce's brows furrowed in confusion before his eyes widened. "You're allergic! Peter, how much did you drink?" "He had 2 mugs," Loki supplied. Peter would have glared, but his stomach clenched painfully and he curled over. Bruce's hand landed on his shoulder, squeezing gently. "We need to get you to medbay," Bruce said, his voice urgent. Peter whimpered as another sharp stabbing pain shot through his stomach. He didn't protest when Loki wrapped an arm around his waist and practically carried him through the crowd. His pace was fast, Peter's vision blurring as they moved. The party fell away as Loki propelled him towards the elevator, Bruce hurrying in behind them. As the doors slid shut, Peter's knees went weak with another sharp flare of pain. He would have fallen had Loki not tightened his grip on his waist. "Peter, how bad is the pain?" Bruce asked, gently pushing back Peter's sweaty curls. "Hurts," Peter gasped out. Nausea swelled inside Peter and his stomach rebelled. He leaned over and vomited. Through his tears, he could see red splattering the floor, on their shoes, and the metallic taste of blood filled his mouth. "Sorry," Peter gasped. "I'm sorry." "Friday, get Helen down there too," Bruce barked. "Loki, can you—" Peter didn't hear the rest as darkness took over. Peter woke up to fingers brushing through his hair. He was hit with the familiar scent of antiseptic that he had come to associate with the medbay. "You with us, Underoos?" Peter blinked open his eyes, his brain taking a moment to register what he was seeing. It was Tony who had spoken, and the voice was now so familiar to Peter that he instantly relaxed, and the fingers in his hair belonged to Pepper. "Hey," Peter rasped out and then licked his lips. "What happened?" "What happened is that we won't be forgetting you're allergic to peppermint any time soon." Tony squeezed Peter's hand. He looked tired, his nice suit rumpled and his tie missing. "You scared us, kiddo." "Sorry," Peter said. "You have nothing to be sorry about," Pepper assured him. "But you should have told us that you weren't feeling well."
"We're lucky that Reindeer Game stepped in when he did."
Tony shook his head.
"How are you feeling?"
Peter took a moment. He was feeling better. The sharp pain in his stomach was gone. "Better?"
"Any pain?"
Tony asked. Peter shook his head. "Just a little tender. Bruce said you might be for a little while." Pepper's fingers kept sweeping soothingly through his hair, making him melt into the pillow. "You did quite a bit of damage to your stomach." "Oh," Peter blinked.
"Peter,"
Tony said, his voice serious,
"if you ever feel sick again, please tell me, or anyone. I don't want you to ever think that you're a burden or interrupting. Your health is important."
Peter shrunk into his pillow. "I will. I promise. I'm sorry." Tony shook his head and leaned over to kiss Peter firmly on the forehead.
"You scared us, Pete. I don't ever want to see you like that again."
Peter nodded, squeezing Tony's hand that was still holding him. "I will. Promise." Tony smiled, kissing Peter again on the forehead, and Peter smiled, letting his eyes fall shut at the feeling.
"Love you, kiddo,"
Tony murmured. "Love you too." Peter slurred as sleep tugged at him. As he drifted off, he had a brief thought that this was one of the best Christmas parties he'd ever been to, and he couldn't wait for next year's.
Sup, bitches, bros, and non-binary hoes.
Oh, I'll stop. I hope you're having a lovely day today. It's Christmas, guys. Oh, we're starting off strong with some Christmassy fics. Okay, listen, yeah, I know I haven't made like an MCU fic in like over a month. I'm sorry, I kind of fell off. I've just been like so deep in my hero at the moment, just because like honestly it's tipped over now, you know, like she's neurospicy, so I go through a lot of hyperfixations. But the My Hero one has turned into like a full-on special interest. I can't talk about other things. I just want to talk about My Hero all the time. So sorry if you've been waiting for MCU fics. I do have ones that I want to read. I just keep not doing it because I keep getting excited by My Hero fics. But we're building up to the Christmas season, so we're going to have a lot of different fics. Here's the plan, is to do 25 fics in the lead up to Christmas, starting now with day one. This is a tentative schedule. We'll see if I follow it. I'm sorry, I've got ADHD and I'm autistic, so we'll see how this actually ends up going, but I'm trying as of now to commit to this 25 Christmassy / wintry / generic winter holiday fics. So be sure to stay tuned for that. I mean, subscribe if you want to be notified whenever I make new fics. You could also like the video, you know, if you liked it, to boost serotonin. Honestly, like if you like me, I need the validation. And be sure to leave comments down below and we can talk about the fic. We can talk about anything. Tell me about your holiday plans. What have you got planned for December? And another reminder that this Saturday, the 3rd of December, is the 1000 subscriber live stream. We're going to read some fics, we're going to chat, hang out. It's just going to be fun to get to like actually talk to you guys in real time. So that is going to be at 11 p.m. GMT, which is, for the Americans, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central, and 3 p.m. Pacific. And if you have any cute little ficlet requests, please be sure to put them in the comments. This is probably going to be the last day of being able to do that, for me to still get permission in time for the authors to be able to read it on stream, so go ahead and do that. Hopefully I will see you all there, but until I see you again, be sure to practice some self-care. Go to bed on time, brush your fucking teeth, drink the water, be hydrated, stop being a prune. Your mother said so, or you'll be grounded. Yes, this is a threat. I will catch you guys later.